Plenty of on-track action to get into this weekend in Australia as Formula One makes its triumphant return to Melbourne. But there's lots of news already after just the Friday sessions. I'm Ollie Wilson for GPFans. We've all got some bleary eyes after the early start, but it's time to dive into all the headlines coming out of Formula One this Friday from Australia. Here's a weird one to start the weekend, as Sebastian Vettel is under investigation from the FIA stewards for riding a scooter back to the pit lane at the end of FP1 in Australia. Now, Vettel sparked the second red flag of FP1 when his Aston Martin had smoke billowing from the back of it as his engine lost power. After stewards helped to douse any potential flames, Vettel waited until the end of the session before hopping on a scooter to ride back to the garages. While the fans and the Germans seemed to enjoy the spectacle as he waved to the crowds, the FIA found a little less enjoyment in the former world champion's antics, charging the driver with entering the track without permission. On top of that, Aston Martin will have to replace the power unit in the German's car, so not a great start to the action down in Melbourne for Aston Martin. A quick rundown of some of the other stories in F1 this Friday, as Fernando Alonso wants to stay in the sport for another 3 years as he enjoys his comeback. The Spaniard enjoyed his return to F1 last season after a 2-year break from the sport, but appears to be enjoying his return, especially this weekend as he went 4th fastest in FP2 in his Alpine in Australia. Now, his team do have young driver Oscar Piastri waiting in the wings for his crack in F1, while Esteban Ocon is signed until 2024, but the 40-year-old Alonso feels he can go a little longer. "I think if I was 25, there would not be this talk," said Fernando. "It's an age thing, that people try to find a way for the young talents, but I think this is about performance. I will race, I guess, a couple more years, 2 or 3 more years." So Fernando Alonso is going to be sticking around for a bit, as will Lando Norris, who says it's nice to see Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton struggle as the McLaren driver spoke ahead of the on-track action in Australia this weekend. Mercedes haven't brought any major upgrades to Melbourne, so the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton can expect a bumpy ride this weekend, as it has been through the first 2 races of the season. But while Lewis and teammate George Russell aren't enjoying their starts to the campaign, others kind of are, with Lando Norris telling the Daily Mail, "In a way, it's nice to see that Mercedes don't always have success. With Lewis, you are seeing the challenge of one of the best drivers competing in a car that is not the best," added Norris. "We will see a different side of Lewis compared to the last decade." And finally, it's all about Ferrari in Friday's practice sessions as the Scuderia made a clean sweep of FP1 and 2, with Carlos Sainz leading the way in the first session and Charles Leclerc taking top spot in the latter. Mercedes were once more off the pace with neither Russell nor Hamilton in the top 10 in FP2, and Lando Norris and local legend Danny Ricciardo in 8th and 10th respectively, in a good sign for McLaren. As mentioned earlier, Fernando Alonso found some pace in his Alpine to go 4th behind the 2 Ferraris, who had Max Verstappen sandwiched between them in FP2, with Alonso's teammate Esteban Ocon 6th, Valtteri Bottas finishing the Friday session 7th. There's going to be plenty of on-track action to get your teeth into, so at GPFans Global on Twitter and Instagram is the best place to stay updated with it all, as is the live blog on gpfans.com, and we'll bring you the news throughout the weekend here at the channel.